You guys like, subscribe, and share, right? Thank you. Hit the subscribe button right here.
Tighten your seatbelt as we take you on this smooth ride. Let's go! It's the morning drive on 103.5 Bola FM, keeping your morning engaging as we take you through the smoothest ride on radio. From 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Getting your morning inspired, be informed. Let's interact only on the morning drive. Make it a date with Martin Efan Shuku, aka Mecca,
and Christy FEMNR, aka Classy.
From Monday to Friday, from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on the morning drive. 103.5 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Bona the 103.5 FM. Today, the 15th day of November 2023. Today is Wednesday and the time is a minute past the hour of 7. It's time for newspaper headlines on Ebona the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. But before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and write to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that your complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that your complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on the Guardian newspaper, Leadership, Vanguard, Punch, Daily Post, Sun, The Nation, This Day, and if time permits, we're also going to take a look at the Nigerian Tribune newspapers. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Tinubu negotiates Islamic Bank multi-billion-dollar facility for infrastructure. Tijani wants tech solutions deepened to lift Nigeria's global ranking. 1 year after takeover of Disco's darkness, liquidity crisis persists. Mustafa, Chibok Girls Mediator, bags Global Citizen Award. Federal government sponsors 179 students for studies in Russia. Federal government sponsors 179 students for studies in Russia. Compliance, deviance, as NLC, TUC, indefinite strike kicks off. Police probe last month's role in Lagos sweeper's death. Octogenarian demands 1 billion naira compensation for vandalized property. Military airstrikes kill terrorists, destroy 4 gun trucks. Nigerian Air Force destroys 6 illegal refining sites, boats. Why Kano is not a terrorist? Rethink initiative to empower creatives, filmmakers. EFCC arraigns businessman, firm over $60,334 theft. 8 in 10. Diabetic known status late as diphtheria spreads. Family, friends mourn as Titilade Abuola is laid to rest. Labor's strike shuts schools, banks, courts in Edo, Ebonyi. 123 attacked, 4 killed during off-cycle Guba elections. Buni presents 217 billion naira budget estimate for 2024. Wike investigates issuance of C of O's to housing estates. 3 die in Cross River auto crash. BEDC offers succor to daughters of electrocuted staff. Lagos State government reiterates ban on street begging. Ex-chief of staff laments insecurity in Rivers community. Hospital opens medical outreach for Lagos residents. NLC, TUC strike. Government offices, schools, banks, hospitals shut in Ekiti, Oyo, Ogun, Osun. Article 6 coalition of opposition parties cautions against one-party dictatorship. Fortifying custodial centers to keep inmates safe. Data would be attacked. Fortifying custodial centers to keep inmates safe. Deter would-be attackers. Civil society organization wants 184 billion naira COVID-19 funds probed by EFCC. Senate President Akpabio urged to reposition Public Complaints Commission. YEP equips youths with skills to compete in job markets and reduce unemployment. Daniel Zulum chart path towards food security, national development. Many injured as container-laden truck falls on vehicles in Abia. Man bags 10 years for illegal possession of firearms. Ibeju, Lekki residents accuse Eco Electricity Distribution Company of neglect. Speaker Abbas orders contractors to fast-track work on renovation of National Assembly Complex. PSC warns against admission racketeering in Police Academy. APC group warns against plot to cause a rift between Tinubu and Zamfara governor. Tinubu administration committed to address marginalization, says Dan Kaka. Oyebanji vows to end the school dropouts illiteracy in Ekiti State. Appeal court reserves judgment in Adebutu's appeal. Value jet airplane skids off taxiway in Port Harcourt. Abia shuts 197 private schools over poor standard. CBN extends old Naira banknotes indefinitely. Human Rights Writers Association cautions against plot against elected Plateau State Governor. INEC refused alleged manipulation of accreditation data on IREV in Kogi election. African leaders who visited Ukraine left with different impression, says Zelensky. NLC fires Bayo Onanuga, calls him the tragedy of a nation. Inspector General of Police commends police other security agencies for conduct in Saturday's elections. 11 years boy sues hospital for 100 million naira over alleged damaged testes. MTN Nigeria eyes 9 mobile spectrum. Women tax on visionary mindset collaboration. Experts firm decry high diabetes prevalence in Nigeria. APC calls for Dino's arrest over cybercrime allegations. MDOC collaborates with Lagos Ministry of Health to enhance maternal health outcomes through artificial intelligence-driven technology interventions. Somali female lawmakers visit Akpabio. Abbas seek exchange of ideas. Expert tax federal government to regulate fraudulent activities in real estate. Nigeria, Eurojust signs a pact on organized crime groups. National Assembly clerk Tambuwa applauded overpayment of 3.7 billion naira to workers. Organized labor shut down National Assembly, bar workers from gaining entry. Kogi APC thanks electorate, condemns opposition's crime against democracy in Kogi East. Nationwide strike looms as other unions join solidarity. Chetima solicits support of Danish government on climate action. Para inks partnership deals with Nexim to boost export-related industrialization. 179 Nigerian students leave for Russia on scholarship. Yaga Africa okays Ododo's victory in Kogi Guba race. Don't expect credible elections in 2027 under APC government. Timi Frank. Troops neutralize 2 bandits in Kaduna. Tinubu condemns a politician's attack on judiciary. NDPHC alleges CBN orders owe 190 billion naira electricity debt. Labour must respect substituting court orders on strike action, says Attorney General. Reps asks ITF to account for 12 billion naira, demands explanation on 39 billion naira prepaid meter. Reps asks ITF to account for 12 billion naira, demands explanation on 39 billion naira prepaid meter. Federal government to investigate visa cancellation of 264 passengers by Saudi Arabia. Federal government commits to provision of houses for vulnerable Nigerians. ASU directs members to join nationwide strike. Federal government calls NLC TUC strike unwarranted blackmail. Buni woos Denmark investors to boost agri, other sectors. Reps recommend 15% budgetary allocation benchmark for education. Human trafficking. Benue ranked highest as 1.6 million Nigerians get trapped in modern slavery. Gunmen abduct University of Calabar Service Com director. TAF Africa advocates enhanced security for voter safety. Group blames killings and malpractices in Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi on presidential poll. Government to immortalize longest serving African monarch. Onoshe emerges over all best female candidate in NECO. That's the much we can take from the Guardian newspaper this morning. And from the Guardian newspaper, we'll flip over to Leadership newspaper. Diabetes, high cost of treatment remains a burden. 6 die, 6 injured in Lagos Ibadan auto crash. Can we measure election integrity? Kogi Imo, Bayelsa polls worse than general election, PDP. Kogi Imo, Bayelsa polls worse than general election, PDP. Again, court stops Anyanwu from parading self as PDP scribe. Appeal court president urged to clarify alleged connection with APC. We have clues on killers of Anambra YPP ward chair, police. Bilateral agreement. Nigeria sends 179 students to Russia. Nigeria students showcase inventions at exhibition. NSIB proves value jet plane incident in Port Harcourt. Tinubu secures billions in infrastructure funding from Islamic Bank. Still on police and VIP protection. Unnecessary air pollution. 20 million Nigerians in diaspora remit $24 billion yearly. Federal government. Diabetes Day. 6 million Nigerians are diabetic, says experts. Diabetes Day. 6 million Nigerians are diabetic, says experts. CBN ways and means food inflation. Weaken Naira. Sanusi. Nigeria sliding into one-party state, Article 1. Disobedience of court. Civil society organizations, lawyers call for labor leaders' arrest. For services, 2.5 million mobile subscribers swap SIMs. BUK suspends first semester exams, join NLC, TUC indefinite strike. Canadian investigators arrive Abuja to probe High Commission fire incident. Strike. Oshemule urges NLC to prioritize workers' rights over partisanship. NSIB probes value jet plane incident in Port Harcourt. NSIB probes value jet plane incident in Port Harcourt. Kogi Guba poll. INEC denies voter accreditation data manipulation. Kogi poll. APC calls for arrest, prosecution of PDP candidates for alleged cybercrime. ICT ministers promote future-oriented, intelligent digital infrastructure for Africa. Old Naira banknotes remain legal tender indefinitely. CBN. Napoli sack coach Rudy Garcia. Masari returns. Two-Face, Jais Bank share, Sabinus Ahmed Isha orders bag CSOS awards. So Fresh Partners show deck to amplify access to healthy food. NCS facilitates 8.29 billion naira exports, generates 3.05 billion naira at Semeboda. Igalo. Okay. Still on the stories making the headlines on the leadership newspaper this morning. ZE bets, seamless deposit and withdrawal process, a dive into multiple payment options. IGP commends police, other security agents for peaceful off-cycle elections. Bill to establish Federal Varsity of Medical Sciences in Abia scales second reading. Nigeria Tech Cloud expert urges youth to adopt problem-solving approach to wealth creation. Blackout looms as electricity union directs workers to join NLC strike. Troops kill 5 terrorists, recover AK-47 rifles, ammunition, others in Kaduna. Euro 2024 qualifiers. Bellingham, Levi Colwill out of England squad. Tinubu mourns famous actor Samanja. Navy intercepts 90 drums of stolen PMS worth 15 million naira in Lagos. Handen, McCall to list on Nigeria Exchange. Don't expect credible elections in 2027 under APC. Tinubu, Timi Frank tells Nigerians. Mortgage bankers seek streamlined land registration title transfer formula. Agency orders Umuahia property owners to remove illegal structures. Zamfara governor declares state of emergency on education. NDIC paying additional 16.18 billion naira to 20 defunct banks. NDDC board member denies involvement in youth leaders' arrest. NUC assures Delta Varsity of transparent accreditation exercise. Court sentences phone robbers to 10 years imprisonment. That's the much we can take from the leadership newspaper this morning. And from the leadership newspaper, we flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Saudi visa cancellation. Federal government urges calm, assures issue will be resolved. NGX to shed 193 billion naira as Union Banks delist. Finance minister unveils a plan for $13 billion revenue from national assets. AFCFTA to lift 30 million Nigerians, Africans out of poverty by 2035. Mohalo. Federal government reps begin probe of cancellation of 264 Nigerians visas by Saudi Arabia. WCC, Christian Association of Nigerians to federal government, address economic injustice, religious persecution. I have not chosen wrongly. 62-year-old Salawa Abeni unveils third husband. We inherited serious liabilities. Tinubu, how it's simple. Okay, still on the stories making the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Oshun governor dragged to court over board dissolution. Your appeal lacks merit. Abiodu, INEC, APC tell Adebutu, PDP. NLC, TUC nationwide strike records mixed compliance in states. NPAN to federal government provides succor to ease sufferings of Nigerians. NPAN to federal government provides succor to ease suffering of Nigerians. Kogi governorship poll, we will challenge results in court. Agunoye, APGA, YPP join call for cancellation of Imo governorship election. Kogi SDP's candidate Ajaka supporters storm INEC headquarters. Bayelsa Guba race poll marked by high level of professionalism. Labour Party rejects Diri's victory, says poll marred by vote buying. Others. Edo 2024, why Obaseki alone cannot decide successor. Osako. Why I visited Tinubu after Supreme Court affirmed his election. Doye Diri. Atiku urged merger of opposition parties to save Nigeria from becoming one-party state. Federal government neglects most critical sectors in Nigeria. Obi. Still on the stories making the headlines on Vanguard newspaper this morning. Insecurity, the chilling discoveries in Southeast Forest. Four dead as container-laden truck crushes bus, tricycle in Aba. 6 dead, 6 injured in Lagos Ibadan Express accident. That's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to Daily Post newspaper. Tinubu, other eminent Nigerians to grace Zik annual lecture. Stakeholders lament decline in quality of entrance into universities. Wike, FCT, Wike inaugurates task force on issuance of CFO, recovery of lands, of season election. Inspector General of Police orders investigation into incidences of violence. I inherited serious liability from Buhari, Tinubu, how CBN weakened Naira, Sanusi, NLC strike misplaced, Oshomole, Saudi's cancellation of visa, federal government calls for calm. EFCC operatives forced me to agree to refund 1 billion naira ex BPE DG Dicky. Senate molds new law to privatize NIPOST. Off-season election. Inspector General of Police orders investigation into incidences of violence. We've taken this. Nigeria Association of Women Journalists exposes fake journalist in Adamawa. And that's the much we can take from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. And from the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to the Punch newspaper. CNG will reduce cost of production, says federal government. INEC to mobilize lawyers for 197 offenders trial. Police probe Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa electoral offenders. Justify federal government investment. Minister tells foreign scholarship awardee. Senate berates NIPO's poor revenue, threatens a privatization. Ajero alleged assault. Federal government knocks labor. Strike records partial compliance. 40% IGR deduction will impoverish varsities, says ASU. 40% IGR deduction will impoverish varsities, says ASU. Poverty unacceptable under my leadership, Tinubu. AGF takes over Stella Odua money laundering case. 35 million naira needed to return body of Nigerian student. Minister. Niger deputy governor accuses pensioners of seeking free government largesse. Governorship poll, Kogi people voted along ethnic divide. Others, analysts, explosion. Canadian investigation team arrives Abuja. 11 billion naira Gombe water project hits 90% completion stage. Non-governmental organization laments negative effect of climate change over North girls. Taraba looted. Resources can fund Nigeria's budget. Expert. Taraba looted resources can fund Nigeria's budget. Expert. Gombe PDP share. List reasons for governorship poll loss. Branded taxis disappear from roads as tricycles. Ashaba take over North. Loyalists remember Olushola Saraki. Army probes officer's death in Akwa Ibom, dismisses suicide claims. Ogun police ban fireworks over court killings. MSF urges longer term vaccination against diphtheria. Tinubu mourns Samanja. Jega led ECOWAS observers Lord peaceful Liberian runoff. US, UK impose travel bans on Hamas leaders. Elections over. Reform economy now. MPAN tells Tinubu. 3,000 Nigerians to benefit from United Nations Tech Internship. Lagos partners Denmark. Others to tackle environmental challenges. Atiku canvasses measure to oust APC. 707 crashes killed 208 in Ogun. FRSC. Abia inspectors shot 197 schools. Kale Rep calls for gender equality in army. That's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. And from the Punch newspaper, we'll flip over to the Sun newspaper. NLC strike grants government offices, courts, banks, others shut. Prioritize workers' rights over partisanship. Oshomole. Old, new Naira notes remain legal tender. CBN. How we can end insecurity in Southeast. Kalo. Tinubu negotiates a multi-billion-dollar funding package for infrastructure with Islamic Development Bank. Abia trusts 197 private schools for operating below standard. Court stops Senator Anyanwu from parading self as PDP National Secretary. 11-year-old student slams 100 million naira suit against hospital over alleged damaged testes. Nordic Nigerian Trade Conference begins in Lagos. Illicit financial flow. Ghana hosts 11th Pan-African Conference. Nigerian Air Force airstrike destroys 6 illegal refining sites in Rivers. Group rejects appeal court verdict sacking Plateau lawmakers. Group rejects appeal court verdict sacking Plateau lawmakers. Reps propose 15% budgetary allocation to education. Federal government vows to restore a functional steel sector. Federal government vows to restore a functional steel sector. Labour blocks venue of NDIS 2023. Plateau Army arrests suspect in killing of police officer. 14 others for kidnapping, arms dealing, cattle rustling, drug peddling. You are still listening to newspaper headlines on Ebon at the 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
ezinụlọ Ichie Dr. Joseph Nwafọ amụnwa eze anọdụ Ichie Oriri one of Ukpo Dunukọfịa eze dibịa isi mmiri of Akaezi Village Ukpo na-akpọpụ gị maka emume akwamozu nke nna di nwanne nna nnukwu nna ha bụ Ichie Dr. Joseph Nwafọ amụnwa eze anọdụ Ichie Oriri one of Ukpo Dunukọfịa eze dibịa isi mmiri Dr. Rams emume akwamozu ya ga-amalite na Thursday 16th November 2023 Eke ga-abụ wetu Friday 17th November 2023 akwamozu n'ụzọ omenala yana iti mmọnwụ ndị omenala Saturday 18th November 2023 10 a.m. mgbaru ndị ọgọ ụmụada ndị enyi ụmụ nwanne nwadiana na ndị na-echelụta ezi echiche Sunday 19th November 2023 mgbaru ga na-aga n'ihu Tuesday 24th November 2023 outing ceremony ọzọ ndị ibe Nicholas Nwafọ eze anọdụ nna ya Igbo aka eruchi ọnwa n'aha ezinụlọ.
Officer Mongomato Suike, Ezi Lagos, Ezi Abuja, Ezi Anambra, Tidekwe Ogunya, any hotel mother can not in yes.
One Nekefe na Doka Second, can you introduce you to the Nigerian hotel chain, Residency Hotels. It's all shut down in Lagos. You got Chufana, Lagos International Airport Road, or Ibiana Lekki Phase 1, or Chuafana Lekki or Sapa London, Lagos. It's all down on Abuja one residency on area 11, Gaki, on Okwana Guzape, no Okwana Otako, Abuja. Ibanyo were onye Chuafana Port Harcourt Road, Owerri. Ozaki is Bayana Anambra, Chai, one the Madon Mosman, one Nature no Gidi, na Anambra State. Ibu Eritaja Batani Enugu State, 7/8 North Street, Independence House. We enjoy here the luxurious furnished rooms and suites. Restaurants are for the okay. They have two sides here and there, an outside door bar where you are entertained with drinks brewed in different parts of the world. You can also book and pay online at tiptopgo.com or www.myresidencyhotel.com.
One open with that. Residency Hotel, all the way.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street Report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonadi FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be.
Our government, whatever.
Street Report is here to make sense of it all. Street Report is causing social change across your streets. Your community. Street Report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanish, number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebonadi 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds
In your face.
on Emas and Ebonadi corner
24/7. 24/7.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. We are on to the Sun newspaper. Federal government vows to restore a functional steel sector. Labour blocks venue of NDIS 2023. Plateau. Army arrests suspect in killing of police officer. 14 others for kidnapping, arms dealing, cattle rustling, drug peddling. Plateau. Mufwang rejects Lalong's appointments in 7 ministries, departments, agencies, accepts 5, calls for review in 42. Yaga, Africa endorses Kogi Guba as reflection of polling unit results. Nasarawa governor urges citizens to stay calm ahead of appeal verdict. Nasarawa United's historic home victory sets optimistic tone for MPFL return. Otma. Vigilante neutralizes 4 bandits in Bena district of Kebbi. Oshogwe calls for real estate diversification amid economic challenges. Act within the confines of international law. Defense Minister. Miss Africa Queen Precious Okoye pledges commitment to regional industrialization, agri development. Chinedu Rita Rosa continues in the education of European wines and African-inspired cuisine. CEO, Wellman Group, Deacon Chris Iyowaye, honored as a Maritime Personality of the Year. Humanitarian Response, Governor Alia Tor Makode, commend President Tinubu for fulfilling promises made to Benue State. Obstacle pose, UNYF accuses Yaga Africa of being partisan. Ebonyi Church ordains 6 new pastors. Taraba, 20 die as boat capsizes. Police arrest landlord 18 months after machete attack on tenant. Kaduna government says it is committed to financing family planning to achieve 27% contraceptive rate by 2024. That's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. And from the Sun newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. Oshomole to Ajero Osifo. Strike is misplaced priority. Nigeria. Others get $50 billion IDB support. Blue economy to net $20 billion yearly, says Oyetola. CBN new old Naira notes remain legal tender indefinitely. Value Jets plane slips off taxiway at Port Harcourt Airport. Reps panel frowns at ministries, departments, agencies for account submissions. Nigeria risk becoming one-party state, says Atiku. Uzodinma's landmarks in him re-election, says Oshomole. 2026 FWCQ Super Eagles camp bubbles with 23 invited players. CAF awards, women's categories. Oshola, Ajibade, Nnadozie, 4 other Nigerians shortlisted. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. While we are yet to meet 387 billion naira revenue target for 2023 by NCC, First Lady's RHI lifts 1,709 fallen heroes families with 427.7 million naira. Tinubu committed to improving lives of vulnerable Nigerians, says Chetima. Alleged 109 billion naira fraud. Court revokes ex-AGF Idris co-dependence bail. Reps urge states to domesticate law against discrimination of disabled persons. Akpabio laws Somali parliament on female representation. Be good ambassadors. Federal government tells 179 Nigerians on BEA to Russia. United Nations Industrial Development Organization, ITPO, orders boost small, medium enterprises at West Africa SME exhibition. President mourns a famous actor, Samanja. Your appeal lacks merit. Ambitious. Abiodu, others tell Adebuti, PDP. That's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. And from the Nation newspaper, we'll flip over to this day newspaper. MPAN wants federal government to review policies on paper industry. Tinubu secures multi-billion-dollar funding facility for infrastructure development from Islamic Bank. Edun. Nigeria can earn $13.3 billion extra revenue yearly from creation of National Asset Register. First Lady's NGO doles out 422.75 million naira to 1,709 widows, orphans of fallen heroes. NLC strike not about Ajero but against official impunity. Oando secures $800 million Afrexim Bank commitment for Egypt's assets acquisitions. Oando secures $800 million Afrexim Bank commitment for Egypt's assets acquisitions. Chetima, federal government assessed 626 billion naira Islamic finance credit for construction of roads, bridges. First Lady's NGO doles out 422.75 million naira to 1,709 widows, orphans of 40 with taking days. Federal government raises 5.54 trillion naira via bonds in 11 months, 6.54 trillion naira subscription. Economist Intelligence Unit predicts 2.6% real GDP growth for Nigeria in 2024. Titan Trust Bank takes over Union Bank to delist from NGX. High-Tech wins FCMB's 60-team hackathon challenge. Nigerian bottling company advocates for sustainable plastic practices. That's the much we can take from this day newspaper this morning. And from this day newspaper, we'll flip over to Nigerian Tribune. Bauchi government to reposition Sangaya, Ismilaya education. Governor Bala. Why must we appreciate our dons? UNICEF marks 2023 World Toilet Day, celebrates children. Kalabari monarch's burial. Police assure maximum security. Shetima receives a report on flood response harmonization. Carlo seeks adoption of non-kinetic approaches against insecurity in Southeast. Academy of Letters laments poor quality of entrance into varsities. Nigerian sets world record for longest handmade wig. Federal government seeks implementation of liberalization of market access for African air transport. Lagos to collaborate with MPA stakeholders to develop 25 years port master plan. AKSG partners vehicle inspection firm. FRSC to promote safety on roads. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Strike. Why NUT compliance in Lagos not total on Tuesday? Governor Mutwang recalls employees terminated upon assuming office in Plateau. That's the much we can take from Nigerian Tribune this morning. That will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona. The 103.5 FM will now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring you reactions. And this morning, we have one coming in from Famous Christian. He's joining us from Ifite Village, Agolozibo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have a message coming from Comrade Manli Oduago from Odumo Obosi. And he says, let me join all right-thinking and responsible citizens of our dear country, Nigeria, in deploring all acts of vandalism in our body politic. He says, much as the government has every right to protect lives and property, the Nigerian Labour Congress has a legal right to embark on protest or strike for so long as they are fighting for the welfare of Nigerian workers. I say this not to encourage lawlessness, but rather to underline the healthy fact that any government that cannot accommodate NLC and centrism would be condemned to waste out its inane lifespan in an orgy of incense. The government of the day should tactfully watch it for NLC. Under my esteemed comrade Ajero can never be a toothless bulldog, for there is nothing wrong in strategizing and re-strategizing. Comrade Manley Ilduogo from Udumobosi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message coming from Christian Ufondo from Onitsha, and he says, why is it that our leaders do not think who will be before they do things? Okay, then he says CBN is talking about the indefinite postponement of the expiry date of the old Naira note, but failed to know that all their efforts to change the old Naira notes would end in futility. Most of our so-called leaders supposed not to be leaders because they lack what it takes to be leaders. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message from Sunday Ikenna from Unobi, and it says federal government sponsored 179 students to study in Russia is a welcome development. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message coming from Valentine Edene from Mpo, and he says, I pray that the nationwide strike in Nigeria will make great impact. It seems NLC is last hope of common man because of poverty is about to engulf in Nigeria. And he says only president without undergone presidential debate or unveil his agenda to the nation. And he continues and says Saudi visa cancellation is huge insult to entire nation, not even 3 or 5, but 264 people. This is enough for breach of agreement between Nigeria and Saudi unless tangible reasons is rendered. Valentine Edene from Mumbo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message coming from Paul Nwizu from Onitsha, and he says article call other political parties to come together as measure to push APC aside. That is good because Nigeria is seen as a one-party state. Paul Nwizu from Onitsha. Still on the reactions we have this morning from our WhatsApp portal, we have a message coming from, this one is coming from Engineer Bukenwa before from Ama Wobuniki, and it says the money looted in Nigeria can fund our borrowings act and project of the country. Mr. Tinubu has not fulfilled all of his promises to Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll now flip over to our SMS portal to bring you more reactions. From our SMS portal this morning, we have a message coming from Honorable Onyadika Osakwe, and he says there's no need of wasting money and time going to court because of the election, as the tribunal is more heinous than the INEC. The rate in which people are being murdered in this nation makes one to wonder what kind of government did we have in this nation. The Gaza-Israeli war need to be stopped, as good lesson has been taught to Hamas Gaza underdog warlords. And he says to avoid possible jihad war, why did INEC declare APC the winner of Kogi poll? Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Still on our SMS portal this morning, we have a message. This one is coming from, this one says, it says the sad news, Umuoku Nursery and Primary School Alloy is collecting money. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And that's not exactly what we're talking about right now. And then we have this message that says, this one is said, government wants NLC to respect court order, but the same government refuse to respect court order. If not, why can't they release Mazen Nandekano as court ordered and end the insecurity in the Southeast? Uche Obunike, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a message coming from Mayor Onyen Jikoka, and he says, Onochie, and he says, overall in Neko. Yes, Anambra State is still showing Nigeria that we are in all sectors, both commerce, education, and what of you. And it says, Imo Kogi Bayasa, the worst election, we have not seen anything. This is just the beginning. Wait and see. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message that says the emergence of Tinubu as president of Nigeria. The court ruling is a scar that would never beautify the Nigerian democracy. Electioneering in Nigeria is obviously a scam. Nigeria arise and shine. NLC strike and up to the momentum. Military takeover is better than okay. And he says Nigerians are witnessing under APC government. Opaka from Apple. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message that says like this before. Okay, he says, is this supposed to have a good apartment? Okay, your message is not clear and it's not complete, but no name to it. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now let's flip over to our Facebook portal to bring you more reactions. From our Facebook portal this morning, we have a message coming from Ozo Francis Nnamani, and he's joining us from Amagunze in Enugu State, and he says, poverty, unacceptable. My administration, says Tinubu, that is a good one. However, Mr. President should endeavor to diversify Nigeria's economy, revitalize a moribund industries, and create an enabling environment towards a poverty eradication. The height of poverty rate in this country is worrisome and nothing to write home about. May God help us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri says, how can this government demand 40% from universities? Is it toying with the education of our children or trying to destroy our educational system? I join article for measure of opposition parties to solidify them, because we can't have one political party in this country. If we do, who will question the excesses of the ruling party and hold it accountable? What is democracy if there is no opposition? Let the kite perch and the ego too. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara. Then we have this message coming from Ozo Francis Nnamani once again, and he says, on the ongoing strike by NLC and TUC, the federal government should endeavor to address the demands and plights of Nigerian workers. Workers' welfare shouldn't be taken for granted. May God help us. Also, Francis Nnamani from Amagunze. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And then we have this message coming from Christian, famous Christian, and he says, okay, he's joining us from Agudozi. But thank you so much for joining us this morning on Facebook. From our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have this message coming from Mazi Christian Upondo, and he says, Nnamdi Kanu has never been a terrorist, only that Nigeria wants to give a dog bad name in order to hang it. Can I tell you what? The whole world knows the truth. We are not afraid of anybody. Hence, self-determination is constitutional in the world over. Nigeria refused to tax some group of people that possess all the qualities of terrorism, only to do pass in tagging an innocent group as IPOB, a terrorist organization, and knew before now that it won't stand, only to put fear in the mindset of the group. But all was in no avail. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mazi Christian Upondo. And on our SMS portal this morning, we have another message coming in, and it says, going to strike by Labour and TLC is good, but the masses will suffer. And he says, up Ododo, Uzodema, and Co. Bravo to them. And he says, okay, from Akedi, I'm okay. Onye Nabana Umunachi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message that says, kudos to Governor Soludo, Governor Alex Oti, on their remarkable services in Anambra and Abia states, respectively. And may the souls of the 3 students that died during a rainfall mayhem in Oka rest in the Lord. This is coming from Wingate. Ikechukwu Mwakeze from Okozo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message that says, may the soul of Samanja rest in peace. And it says, in Jesus' name, amen. It's coming from Bendo from Asaba. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Honorable Onyedeko Osakwe is saying the Labour is embarking on a strike because of brutalization of Ajero, but not because of hardship being perpetrated by the Tinubu regime, where people are dying for hunger and our president is busy traveling from one country to another, borrowing and donating money. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Honorable Onyedeka Osakwe. And then we have this message that says, it's obviously a scam. Nigerians arise and shine. NLC strike and apt to the momentum. Military takeover. Okay, no, we can't suggest that, but thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, still on this. Okay, Honorable Onyedeka Osakwe is still gave us another message, and he says, Imo State has become a home of rascality and hooliganism, where the ghouls are interred without their bones, where sacrilege and evil has become a daily practice and culture. There is no hope in Imo State, as INEC has eaten the bone that is tied around their neck. Ochomolo is one of them that is supposed to have a good apartment in a correctional center in Nigeria, as his antics in is only to borrow money and cheer in his lexicon. There is nothing like due process, a cut and join comrade. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, let's see if we can get more reactions. On our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have a message from Ndubisi Okafor from Umweze Umunachi, and he says, I dissent with Vice President Chetima that President Tinubu is committed to improve the lives of poor masses. How many policies has he made in favor of poor masses that will justify his claims? Is it the increment of fuel price or recommendation of 106 vehicles for lawmakers or increase of dollar every day? Where is the palliatives he promised? Ndubisi Okafor from Umweze Umunachi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And with that, this is the spot where we'll call it a day on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way weekdays in the morning once it's 7 o'clock, so keep a date and don't touch the dial of Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Once it's 8:20, we'll be back with Bid the Splash. Until we meet again, I am Martin. Have a wonderful morning.
Ezi Lagos, ezi Abuja, ezi Anambra, tidekwa Enugu niile. Kedu hotel mmadụ ga-anọ n'ime eze?
Nwanne ka efe na-adọkasịkwanụ. Can I introduce you to the Nigerian hotel chain, Residency Hotels. It's touch down na Lagos. Ị ga-achụfa na Lagos International Airport Road, or ị bịa na Lekki Phase 1, or chụọfa na Lekki Osapa London, Lagos. Ịtụọ down na Abuja, nwanne Residency nọ na Area 11 Garki. Ọ nọkwa na Guzape, n'ọkwa na Utako, Abuja. Ịbanye Owerri onye m chụọfa na Port Harcourt Road, Owerri. Onwezia ka isi banye na Anambra, chai nwanne na-edo mma ozugbo nwanne ịchụbịa na Ogidi na Anambra State. Ibugharịtazi abata na Enugu State 7/8 North Street, Independence Layout. You enjoy the luxurious furnished rooms and suites. Restaurants are be okay. They have poolsides here and there, and outside door bar where you are entertained with drinks brewed in different parts of the world. You can also book and pay online at tiptopgo.com or www.myresidencyhotel.com.
What no put that? Residency Hotel, all the way.
Biko nwanne m bịakene ka m jụọ gị, kedu ebe m ga-enweta ezigbo MC maka mmemme a na-akwado?
Ikama Jojo, or Shaka Shaka, the latest MC in town, ka occasion gị anwa bụrụ ịgba. Ị na-achọ ezigbo MC maọbụ DJ na agbamakwụkwọ go, agbamnkwụ go, child dedication go, imepe ụlọ, ọ bụzi ụmụ akwụkwọ na-eme graduation maọbụ end of the year party. Shaka shaka bịa na mmemme ahụ. Ị mara na I love you bụ Selekusi. Kpọọ ya n'akara ekwentị ndị a:
09022670547 maọbụ WhatsApp 07030366888.
ụmụnne shaka shaka.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonade FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be, Street Report is here to make sense of it all. Street Report is causing social change across your streets, in your community. Street Report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanyu, as number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebonade 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds in your face. On Emasine Ebonade corner
24/7, 24/7.
Ebonade FM 103.5. We are on 24/7, 24/7. Round the clock. Ebonade FM 103.5.